we are genuinely excited to be able to offer Mass to the public again. I thought we'd go over some of how the Masses will look to give you a sense of what they'll be like. As you know, the dispensation from the solemn obligation of attending Sunday Mass continues until July 31st. So no one is obliged to attend Mass until the end of July at this point. So feel free to take advantage or not take advantage of that dispensation. First, just a number of kind of general items. I want to thank everybody thus far for really following the norms as they've been laid out. This has really helped me in the smaller masses, and I am really more grateful than you realize. I do think that the only way for us to be united is if we're all following the rules together. That way there's no judgment going back and forth between people. I don't think fights would necessarily break out, but I do think there would be a lot of judgment that would come out sideways, and so I think if we're all in this together, it really helps. I'm getting used to the regulations as well, too, so I think we just all have to be patient with each other as we try to learn these. It seems like the two big regulations from the state right now seem to be the 6 feet apart from one another and the face masks when we're in public, and so I think those are the two big things that we have to concentrate on, of course, the most. Remember that face mask, the idea is that it would keep others safe from you, that if you're carrying the virus, you could be spewing it out, and the face masks certainly don't prevent all of the virus from being caught, but it does stop some of it. Just remember as well that, we're very grateful to the President for deeming church as an essential operation. We're very grateful to the governor that in her executive orders, she's continually chosen not to put punishments for religious congregations when they're coming together. But also do remember that right now the regulations are that normally you wouldn't have more than 10 people gathered in a place. And so if we're gathering hundreds of people and we're not following any of the regulations, it really is the job of law enforcement, of the media, of concerned citizens to kind of point this out. And I just would love to be able to celebrate the sacraments in peace, in tranquility. In a lot of ways, when the regulations first came out, my biggest fear was that, as Germans, we're a little bit on the stubborn side. And so I thought, oh no, if nobody follows these things, are we going to be able to go ahead with Mass outside? Are we going to have to put further limits on the size of the congregation inside? And again, so far everybody has really followed them, and so I'm just really grateful for that, because it's just a big headache you're saving me. And I think by following the rules, we just kind of help each other out. We keep each other safe. Also remember that there will be people, for instance, who can't wear face masks, that it cuts off their breathing. I would just encourage them to wear something maybe around the chin or around the neck, so that they know that we know they're in solidarity with us. There could be times where someone gets overheated, where they have to pull the mask down. If we're all wearing our masks, then it really gives leeway to those who can't, or to those who are getting overheated at a given moment, to just pull them down. If at any given moment the vast majority of us have them on, we're just keeping ourselves safe from scrutiny, and of course keeping ourselves safe according to the regulations as well. So anyway, I really am very grateful to what everybody's doing to comply. It does make my life much easier, and so I am very, very, very grateful, and just encourage you to continue doing that when you're at Mass. So we have a plan A and a plan B. On weekends, whenever possible, we're going to follow plan A. Plan A is to have Mass outside. Plan B is to have Mass in the church. The reason why outside is plan A is twofold. First, from everything we're hearing, outside gatherings are safer than inside gatherings as far as preventing the spread of the virus. So we think it's safer. But also, we really want as a parish to be able to offer the sacraments to as many people as possible. And having it outside increases the the capacity of people we can have. We hope that on a given weekend, if we can have it outside, we could accommodate really the whole parish. About a half hour before Mass will be when we'll make the determination if we're able to have it outside and follow Plan A, or if we have to go inside the church and go according to Plan B. So I'd like to just take a moment to show you what Plan A would look like in practice. So this is a map of how Mass outside would look. You see the parish hall over here. You see the hamburger stand here. You see, well, you don't see, but the car wash would be over here. So what we're doing is we're setting up sections that'll be painted on the ground. You can see these 6 sections. There's going to be 14-foot aisleways between the sections to try to encourage social distancing. There's also going to be parking spots where people who want to stay in their car during Mass can be, both along here and along here. What we're going to do is within each of these sections, we're going to paint lines, and these lines are going to be 9 feet apart from each other. What we're going to ask is that when you come to Mass, that you bring your own seat, so whether it be a blanket, whether it be a lawn chair, whatever it is that you're going to sit on, that you bring that, or if you're content sitting on the grass, that you don't bring anything, but that you, as a general rule, come to the front first, that you fill in the front first before the back to encourage social distancing, rather than filling in the back and then having everybody walk through you, to try to fill in the front first, and then also to toe the line so that when you, let's say a line is here, that you would sit right up against that line so that everybody that's sitting up against the line has that 6 feet gap between them and the person in front of them, behind them. You can see on this map we've identified communion stations, these red crosses. This is where communion will be given out. One person will come to the vehicles. Collection baskets will be placed, at least tentatively, where these blue icons are. So if you want to put a donation into the box, they will be stationary up on a shepherd's hook that you can give to. The trickiest part of Mass, of course, will be the reception of Holy Communion. We ask that before you get to the front of the line, you have your masks off so as not to be fiddling with the mask while also receiving the Eucharist. Bishop Oyer strongly recommends communion in the hands during this time of pandemic. However, the faithful are also free to receive on the tongue as well. If you do choose to receive on the tongue, please come to this station. This station will be where I give out communion, and try to put yourself in the second half of that line. So work your way up to this station and come in the second half of that line. What we're trying to do here is to both respect people's rights who want to receive on the tongue, to respect that right, but also we want people who are going to the other stations and for whom it might be important to know that everyone else received on the hand in their line, to have that freedom as well, so to respect the rights of both. If you're a Eucharistic minister and someone comes up to you and wants to receive on the tongue, please just tell them that Father would like everyone who receives on the tongue to come to him, and just refer them over to me. If you forget and you get referred by a Eucharistic minister over to me, just remember it's nothing personal, nothing to get upset about. It's just we're all getting used to the new regulations. So just to work with us on that. I would encourage people, as they pull their masks off to come up, to be sanitizing their hands, as they're taking the masks off and as they're putting them on. I think one of the better recommendations I heard is that maybe people could just bring a little baggie with them to Mass so that they could put their mask in, and as they're doing it, just really sanitize their hands, before and after they touch the mask. And then when they get back to their place, to just sanitize their hands again before and after they put on the masks. In church, I'll stay at the communion station that I'm normally at. So I just ask those who prefer to receive on the tongue to just use that station, the station that I'm normally at, the center aisle just to the south, where I'm always at. The bishop asked that we not kind of belt out music or responses, because that can spew out more of the droplets that carry the virus. And so for that reason, we don't have songbooks in the church. We're not going to project the lyrics up. We just encourage you not to necessarily go to your cell phone and look at the lyrics. Just sing softly, respond in a normal or soft voice, or softer voice, I should say. As you leave Mass, both in the outside and in the church, try to file out from the back. Try to file out those closest to the exits. And so if you're closer to the front, just wait till everybody else files out, again, to encourage social distancing. Now we're going to look at Plan B. What happens if Mass is in the church? One thing I forgot to mention, and this might be the hardest thing both outside and inside to remember, is that as you come up for communion, try to maintain a 6-foot distance in the communion line between your family and the next group. Again, I think that's going to be very counterintuitive, and it's just going to take practice and work, and we'll get better and better at it. But just to try to remind yourself that in the communion line, I should try to stay 6 feet behind the people ahead of me. If we have to go to Plan B and have Mass in the church on a weekend, the capacity that the bishop has regulated is 25% of our normal capacity, so we've estimated that at 200 people. The church will be locked until 30 minutes before the Mass begins, more or less. These will be the only 2 doors that will be unlocked, and so we ask you to come to these doors. The ushers will count out the first 200. You'll be able to go in. As you see in the church, as you may have already seen, we've got different pews roped off. We've done that to encourage social distancing and to keep our limit to that 200. Once 200 people have been reached, the ushers will close the doors, and after that, we're going to refer the next set of folks to the gym, and we'll show you what happens if you're referred to the gym now. If church reaches capacity at 200 people, the ushers will refer people over to the gym. We'll have a capacity of 130 that we can put in the gym. Chairs will be stacked, and so you'll just have to grab a chair and just social distance your family from everyone else within the church. So we'll live stream the Mass here, and at communion, a Eucharistic minister will come over here to bring you Holy Communion. If you would like to receive on the tongue and you're in the hall, please just wait till after Mass and then just come back into the main body of the church, and I will give you Holy Communion at that time. The bishop does not encourage younger children to come to Mass because he feels like they can have difficulties with social distancing, that they may run around. Certainly, I would just leave that to the parents' discretion. You know your children as best as anybody, and if you do bring them, just kind of talk to them about the importance of staying in place. Also, we discourage the use of restrooms during the Mass. Obviously, people will need to use them, but the more that can be dealt with before Mass at home, that would be better as well. As with Mass outside, if you can always, the people closest to the exits, file out first, that will help. At the church, the ushers will have all the doors propped open so that you can exit from any of the doors as well. The collection baskets will be placed at different visible places within the church. So we're going to go public this week. We're very excited. Again, I just ask you to do your best to just follow all the rules as best you're able. This is a very fluid situation, so hopefully the regulations lighten up as we go along. Our first Mass, public Mass, is 10 o'clock this Friday. where we'll be able to try out the sound system and stuff outside to see how that works. And then this weekend we'll have a 4:30, 9, and 11 o'clock Mass. There also will be a 7 p.m. on Saturday night that will not be open to the public, but at which the RCIA folks will come into the church. That will be live streamed, and the 9 a.m. on Sunday will be live streamed to the public as well. Thanks again, and we'll just go step by step. So we'll see. I'm sure we're going to be working out a lot of bugs as we do this, and so I just ask for your patience, and thank you for what you've already done, and just thank you for what we'll do as we continue to journey forward. God bless.